I believe we are live. So um, thank you for joining me today. I know that this might be a difficult time to join. I hope that, I provide enough value, that there's enough value in these workshops to keep you coming back and to keep you watching them even after they're over. I truly believe that this value that these workshops can help you catapult your health, your wealth, your relationships, whatever areas you're struggling in. Your health influences everything. And it's not just your physical health, right? Your physical and your mental health, they are inseparably connected. And so to be able to transform your health will be the difference between you surviving and thriving in your work and your relationships and any impact that you want to make. So I'm really happy that you are here. Please drop a comment below to let me know if you're watching the replay or if you're watching this live, and to let me know what really resonates with you during this training. I'm actually going to share my screen. And sorry, I froze there for a second. I'm going to share my screen. I need to find it. Okay, just a second. Clearly, I am not going to share my screen. Okay, so today I want to talk about quickly how you can transform your health, life, and relationships instantly. Okay, so you are seeing this from my point of view. I want to share this with you and make sure that you see this from your point of view. Okay, so how to instantly transform your health, life, and relationships. I want to share 3 secrets with you, and we're just going to graze the surface, right? This is not going to do you any good if you don't go deeper with these, if you don't take action on these today and implement something that I'm going to share with you today to help transform your habits, because that is the underlying foundation for all of your health results. All of the things that you want to change in your health, your life, your relationships, your career. Your health is not two-dimensional. And I want to share with you, if you don't know already, my story on why diet and exercise are not enough to change your health. Okay. For those of you who know who I am and you've heard this story before, I'm sorry that you have to sit through this again. But for those of you who are new, who don't know who I am, a little bit about me is that I am a high-level habits, health, and lifestyle coach. And I have been doing this for 3 years now. And I focus particularly on nutrition and habits. I focus on exercise as well. I'm a certified nutrition coach as well as a certified personal trainer, because I truly believe that those things are synergistic elements of your health, but they are not the only things. They are not what defines your health. And too often, right, we set goals to exercise more, we set New Year's resolutions to eat healthier, and still we find ourselves riding this roller coaster. And it's just not how you want to live your life. It's not how I wanted to live my life. And I found that out the hard way. In 2018, when I started my business, I also started a diet, and I started exercising. I started extreme exercise training for a half marathon, and actually a half Ironman, because I love triathlons. That's something you'll hear a lot about from me, but I love triathlons. And so I thought, why not go big or go home, right? So I started that in March. March or April. And by June, I had developed a heart condition. And that heart condition came from not enough recovery, too much exercise, not enough recovery, limiting my foods, limiting the variety of foods that I ate. And my stress levels were through the roof. I'd started a new business. We had just moved to a new home from living with my in-laws. So we had moved to a new state the year before. We moved into a new home. My kids started new schools. My husband started a new job. All of these things rose my stress levels to a level that I couldn't compete with, that I didn't have enough energy to sustain. And so my body said, okay, well, we will just compensate by enlisting more cells to pump more blood. And what actually happened was my body pumped less blood. It was working so fast that it couldn't actually pump the blood through my body. So I ended up really tired. My heart rate skyrocketed and did not go down. And I would find myself climbing the stairs and standing at the top of the stairs, not holding my breath, but holding my chest, rubbing my muscles because they would burn, and I would have to catch my breath just from one flight of stairs. This taught me that something was wrong. I had never experienced that before. So it took me a week to finally get up the courage to schedule a doctor's appointment. And I find it so funny as a health coach that proactive behavior of going to a doctor still took me a week. It still took me a week to go. I found myself in the emergency room one evening because I was afraid to go to sleep. I didn't know if I would wake up again. And that opened my eyes to seeing that there were things that I needed to change in my life, things that I needed to do that I was not doing, that would make a bigger difference than the things I thought I needed to do that were actually causing the problems. So I want to share 3 secrets with you today. 3 secrets that are aside from diet and exercise, aside from the things that we think we should do, that we've been taught in our culture to cut out certain food groups, to exercise more, to work harder, right? Hustle, 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 and you'll be successful. You'll be able to do the things that you want to do. And I feel like that's why people say, well, I'm not losing weight. I must just need to work harder in the gym. No, that's not true. There are other factors that are missing that you need to consider as well. So let's talk about those. Now, I shared my story with you. The reason why I shared my story with you is because I consider it my own Everest. And this is a picture of Sir Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tenzing Norgay, who successfully scaled Mount Everest, reached the summit on May 29th, 1953. Many expeditions had been sent years before, decades before. In fact, it was 30 years from one expedition, failed expedition, that actually took 4 months for them unsuccessfally attempting to scale Mount Everest, to finally give up and go home after losing men to landslides. What are they called? Avalanches on the mountaintop, to realize that there was something they were missing. The one thing that Hillary and Norgay used to scale Mount Everest successfully, the only thing they changed was that they used oxygen. And oxygen is not the common denominator here, but what I want to share with you, that the difference was these incorrect yet lingering beliefs. Decades before, they knew they could use oxygen, but they considered it a luxury and a capacity that they didn't need to tap into, something they couldn't imagine using because nobody had ever done it before. So why would they need to? And instead, Hillary and Norgay, Sir Edmund Hillary, they used oxygen to scale Mount Everest. And ever since, then people found ways to do it with oxygen and without, realizing that one incorrect yet lingering belief was holding back their the difference between staying at base camp and scaling Mount Everest successfully. So I told you of my story about my heart surgery, but in college, I gained almost 40 pounds my freshman year. You can see me on the left. And what happened was there were things that I was doing that I didn't realize were causing me problems. They were these habits that I had developed over time. And when I had learned to control those habits, as you can see in August of 2007, even after having my first child, I was easily back to my pre-pregnancy weight because I had these healthy habits that I had incorporated. Now, there were habits that I had developed and a limiting mindset as to what was important to focus on when I developed my heart condition. But those habits, nonetheless, can still be developed, as you can see, because I am back to that same weight as I was in 2007, and I have maintained that weight since my youngest son's birth, shortly thereafter. And after 10 years of being in the health and fitness world, I can tell you from experience that true health involves more than diet and exercise, that there are no good foods versus bad foods. Tell me if that's something that you hear constantly, right? You eat this, not that. Good foods, bad foods. But it's not the case. It's only investments in the goals that you are working towards. Just like if you were to invest your money in your bank account, the return you want depends on the investment that you make. So healthy, the definition of healthy means practicing sustainable habits to reach your goals, not depriving yourself or overworking yourself, thinking that hustling is going to create success. It's just not, it's not possible. And it's not successful either. Everything in your life is influenced by your health, okay? I want to see a heck yeah or you're crazy. Yes or no, whatever you want to say in the comments below. But let me know if this is something that resonates with you. Because if you're not healthy, then you can't bring your best work to the table, right? You can't serve your people the best. You can't serve your family the best if you are not also taking care of yourself and putting yourself in a better state. There's a quote that I love by Harold Lee, and it says, "You cannot lift another soul until you are standing on higher ground than she is." He says he, but you cannot lift another soul until you're standing on higher ground. You can't do that. You can't push someone up the mountain and say, you do this better than me, so you go ahead and I'll catch up when I can. No, you're the one who paves the trail. You take their hand and you pull them up the trail and say, this is how you do it. And that is support. That's actually how we make it to the top, not by pushing each other and cheering each other on from the distance, right? So when you know that your health influences everything you do, I want you to go all in, whatever that looks like for you. A friend of mine, Diane Carter, she's my husband's aunt, actually. She suffered from IBS and muscle loss, and after just 1 week 1 week of being a part of my Jumpstart Challenge, she said, I feel different. I am different. I have new life, new energy, and my work is actually a joy instead of a burden. I was so happy to hear that, all because of small incremental changes, one step better changes that she made in her health to promote energy, to boost recovery, right? And to find more meaning in her work. She found more strength and energy in herself, along with finding solutions to her IBS and her muscle loss. Now, it's not something that's instantaneous, but you can make changes that can, within 24 hours, make you feel different, right? So I would love to help you figure out what those challenges are, what those missing pieces are, to help you thrive, not just survive. Tony Robbins has said, if you want to take the island, you have to burn the boats. That quote came from another, a conquistador who was conquering islands, and his men were hesitant about whether or not they could succeed. And in order for his men to see that that was the only option, that success was the only option, they had to burn their boats. So that's what they did. So where are you at? I have put a link here in the slides, and I'll post them in my Facebook group afterwards if you're interested in using the Balanced Body Scorecard to find out where you are at in your health. I have 8 steps, okay? And they are not change your diet, change your exercise, exercise more, cut out sugars. They're just not. They are where you are at, so you can see what small incremental step you can take in your sleep, your nutrition, your stress levels, your exercise, your relationships, your work, and your service. That's 8, right? Yes. To harmonizing all of these little things that become habit and routine in your day, so you don't have to think about what is healthy and what's not healthy, that it just happens automatically for you. That's an awesome feeling. And the 3 things, okay, the 3 things that I want to share with you that has changed my life more than anything else is what I call the cup method. So it's consistency, understanding, and practice. Consistency is the number 1 deal breaker, right? It is the difference between continuing the course, staying the course, like finishing a race, and what we call falling off the bandwagon, right? It is the difference between where you are and where you actually want to be. Consistency is that step by step by step. I believe it was Lao Tzu who said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And you have to keep taking those steps in order to make the distance. So I want to know, so we don't think in words, right? We don't make decisions based on logic and reasoning. We actually do it based on our emotions, how we feel. When you understand what emotions are driving your decisions, then you can understand better how to, and we'll talk about this in the next slide, but the difference between triggers and anchors, and how to stack your habits according to the triggers that happen. And when a trigger happens that you don't like, that you didn't intend on, right? That's unexpected. So much of life happens when it's unexpected, that you actually know how you're going to respond to that and make it proactive instead of reactive. So I want you to commit you to yourself today by asking yourself, which one of these steps will you work on today? One action step. Okay, will it be consistency? Will it be understanding? Like, I need to understand nutrition better. I need to understand sleep better, how to get better sleep. I need to understand my stress levels more and what sets me off and how I can combat that stress or relieve that stress, reduce that stress to make it so life is not one big ball of stress, because it sometimes feels that way, right? Especially now. Or practice. Like, what is that thing that I can do that will actually help me be consistent in those 4 factors: the sleep, the nutrition, the stress, or the exercise? What is the practice that you need? So I want you to ask yourself what you're going to work on today out of the consistency, understanding, and practice. And if you need help with any of those areas, I would love to help you, dive in to see where that missing piece is, so that you can fill in the gaps, so that we can successfully fill in the gaps and create those sustainable habits for you to make success a reality for you. Instead of thinking, life is just going to be a dieting roller coaster. That's just the way your life is going to be. I don't believe that for a second. So I want you to stop believing that too. So triggers, and I can't see what this says. This says triggers and habits, but what it should say is triggers and anchors. So an anchor is like these bookends here. When the trigger happens, for example, this is something that an example that I often use. Going to bed for me happens between 9:30 and 10 every single night, 99% of the time. The trigger for me to get ready for bed is when my kids get ready for bed. And that might feel like, I can't get ready for bed at 6:30 or 7. Why not? What will help you to start the process of winding down? Not 10 o'clock, not thinking that wind down happens when you're laying on your pillow and you then try and calm yourself down when you've been rushing around doing the dishes right before you go to bed. Your body needs time. Your mind needs time. And because they are inseparably connected, your body and mind will work together to help produce the hormones, to help reduce the energy output, to help prepare your mind and your body for sleep. And so I use that trigger to help me get ready for bed. And then I do things consistently every night before I go to bed that helps my body actually recognize this pattern and recognizes it as a method of getting ready for bed, right? Of sleep. So I get ready for bed when my kids get ready for bed. Then I write in my journal. I read with my husband, and we pray together, and then I go to bed. And then I pray on my own. And that right there is the prayer on my own. My personal prayers is my anchor to that habit. So the trigger happens hours before, right? At least 2 hours before my bedtime. And the anchor happens when I go to bed. Now, an anchor can actually be the trigger for another habit, which is why I have up here triggers and habits, because when we stack one habit on top of another consistent habit, and it makes it really easy for us to maintain that habit. It makes it sustainable. So I want you to ask yourself, in order to create these triggers and anchors in your habits, before I blank, so before I go to bed, I can then write down what you're going to do that initiates that habit. Okay, it can be, take mine, get ready for bed when my kids get ready for bed, or after and I use this as personal prayer, I will go to bed. So that's my trigger and my anchor. It can be as simple as before I eat breakfast or before I go to bed, I can prepare my lunch for the next day. After and this would be for the morning, right? After I drink my cup of tea, my cup of coffee, whatever you like to drink, I'm a tea drinker. After I brush my teeth, I will grab my lunch from the refrigerator, right? That kind of bookends or anchors that habit into place, knowing that every time before you do one thing, you're going to do this one habit that you want to begin. And after you do another thing, it will solidify that habit. Okay, because that is how we build consistency. So the number one challenge for women is that we see everybody else's needs before our own. And so we have these high levels of stress. We think that going to the refrigerator and grabbing cake because we think that we need to avoid that during the day in order to be healthy is the only way we're going to get the food that we actually want. And that's kind of how we feel about vegetables, the same way our kids might feel about vegetables. So we can make it easier by making it sustainable and thinking that I can't have my cake and I have to only eat vegetables. It's just not sustainable. Instead, you can use what I call the Smart Meal Maximizer. Now, this is just honestly, it's just my meal planning method of how I balance my meals and how I plan my meals 30 days. Often it's a week at a time, but I can do 30 days in less than an hour. 2 meals a day, which means I have breakfast and dinner planned. My kids make their own lunches. And this is my oldest daughter, and she is eating homemade chicken nuggets, which we love. And it's something that we've made one step better by adding spinach to it, and they love them. And it helps me to know that I am helping them to develop healthy habits, as well as not isolating myself because I can eat the food that I serve them. Does that make sense? It's not something that you want to do, right? It's isolate yourself. And you don't want to feel guilty every time you give them something to eat because they only want chicken nuggets and French fries or muffins that come in a package. There's a better way. So if you want to talk about a better way for you and your family, we can jump on a free call. Go to HealthyMe-HealthyWe.com. Oh, I didn't finish that. .com, and just sign up for a free consult, right? A free coaching session so that you can see what the missing pieces are in your own health, so you can be a better role model for your family and make a bigger impact in your work. Those are all things that create this deep sense of well-being, this healthy lifestyle that we're looking for. It's more than diet and exercise. So I am hoping that this, as we do this together, that this is something you want to do as well, and something that you see a difference with once we jump on a call. Also, I wanted to invite you to grab my recipe book if you haven't already. Go to HealthyMe-HealthyWe.com and you'll see, scroll down and you'll see the option to buy my recipe book if you want. A lot of the recipes that I share in my Facebook group are all recipes that are not in this recipe book. So I'm hoping that this book sheds some new light on being able to eat sweet and eat balanced, healthy meals at the same time, and that it's all part of a healthy lifestyle. Because you are worth the time. You can take that mountain. We all have different mountains to climb, and we are better and stronger together. So these are the two hashtags that I love to use. I have a digital course coming out soon, so if you are interested in that, please shoot me a message. The founders or the early bird special is going on right now for $197 versus the $397 full course price. So if cooking healthy meals is something that interests you, it's something that you want to do for yourself and your family so you can feel better in your own skin and feel good about the habits that you're helping your family create, then I would love to see you there as well. And this is the end of the training. So I hope that you have found something useful in that, especially with the cup method, the consistency, understanding, and practice, and the triggers and anchors, because the habits, that's our foundation, right? That's what needs to change. It's not the quick fix of diet pills and what you're eating. It's actually how you implement those strategies on a day-to-day basis, right? So I hope that if there's something that I can do to help you implement small, sustainable strategies, say that 3 times fast, then reach out. I would love to talk to you, and I hope you make it a great day. And remember that a healthy we begins with a healthy me. And I'll catch you in the next training and in the Facebook group. And if you haven't joined my Facebook group, I'll post a link in my on my profile to the Facebook group. I believe there's actually one already posted. So join the Facebook group if you want access to this training, and go to HealthyMe-HealthyWe.com if you want to sign up for that free coaching session, that free first step strategy session to help you figure out what the missing piece is to build those foundational habits that you need to get the results that you want. And I hope you make